Hello brothers and welcome to Sigma Old Man channel. Move in silence, only speak when it's time to say checkmate. Most people spend their entire lives trying to fit in, be noticed, or impress others, but not you. If you're truly a Sigma male, you don't seek validation, you move with quiet confidence, making power plays while everyone else fights for attention. You're the one they whisper about, the one they can't quite figure out. And that's exactly how you like it. Here's a fact. The most influential people in history weren't the loudest in the room. They were the ones who knew exactly when to act and when to disappear. They didn't waste energy proving themselves. Instead, they let their presence or absence do all the talking. So if you recognize these habits in yourself, congratulations, you're built differently. But if you don't, well, you might want to take notes. Because being a Sigma male isn't just a label. It's a mindset, a strategy, and sometimes a silent checkmate. Number one, you don't waste time in arguments. You simply prove people wrong through actions. Most people waste hours arguing, trying to prove they're right. They raise their voices, throw around opinions, and desperately seek validation. But a Sigma male? He doesn't bother. He understands a simple truth. Words don't win battles, results do. When someone doubts you, when they mock your ideas, question your abilities, or dismiss your potential, you don't argue. You don't defend yourself. You don't waste time trying to change their mind. Instead, you get to work. You let your actions speak so loudly that their words become irrelevant. While others fight meaningless battles for approval, you move in silence. You focus on your craft, your goals, and your growth. Then one day, without warning, you prove them all wrong. Not through debates, not through explanations, but through undeniable results. You've seen it before. People who swore you couldn't do it suddenly act like they believed in you all along. The same voices that laughed at you are now silent, replaced with whispers of, "How did he pull that off?" That's the power of letting success do the talking. You don't argue with people who don't see your vision because you don't need their approval to make it real. You don't waste energy explaining yourself to those who will never understand. Instead, you move, you build, you win. And when you do, the same people who once doubted you will be forced to watch in silence, because by then it's too late for them to question you. The Sigma mindset isn't about convincing anyone of anything. It's about showing up when it matters, delivering results and letting the facts speak for themselves. Because in the end, nothing silences doubters more effectively than undeniable success. Number two, you're practically invisible but shockingly powerful. You're practically invisible but shockingly powerful. You don't walk into a room demanding attention. You don't need to be the loudest voice, the flashiest presence, or the one constantly proving himself. And yet somehow you're always a factor. While others chase validation, desperate to be seen and admired, you move differently. You operate in the background, quietly pulling the strings, influencing situations in ways most people don't even realize. By the time they notice your impact, it's already too late. You've already made your move, changed the game, and left them wondering how it all happened. You understand something most people don't. True power isn't in being seen, it's in being felt. It's in the decisions you make, the opportunities you create, and the way people subconsciously adjust their behavior around you. You don't demand respect. It's given to you because there's something about you that's impossible to ignore, even when you're not trying. Your ability to stay low-key is what makes you untouchable. No one can predict your next step because you don't move like everyone else. You don't follow trends, you don't advertise your plans, and you don't let people see the full extent of what you're capable of until you decide to show them. And that's what makes you dangerous. Because while they're all busy trying to outshine each other, you're already 10 steps ahead, making moves they won't understand until it's too late. Number three, you speak less because you measure your words like gold. Most people fear silence. They talk just to fill the air, throwing out words without thought, hoping to sound important. But you don't speak just to be heard, you speak to be understood. Every word you choose is deliberate, precise, and impactful. Silence is not awkward for you, it's an advantage. It forces people to lean in, to pay attention, to wonder what's going on in your mind. And when you do speak, your words carry weight. They cut through the noise and land like a hammer. You don't ramble, you don't explain yourself unnecessarily, and you certainly don't engage in meaningless small talk. Instead, you listen, observe, and wait until your voice actually matters. This is why people respect you, even if they don't fully understand why. They notice that when you open your mouth, it's because you have something worth saying, not because you need attention. This makes you unpredictable, and in a world where everyone overshares, being mysterious is a rare kind of power. Some mistake your silence for indifference, but that's their problem, not yours. You know that true influence doesn't come from speaking the most. It comes from speaking the best. And that's exactly why, when you finally talk, people don't just hear you, they listen. Number 4. You see people as they are, not as they pretend to be. Most people take others at face value. They believe the smiles, the confidence, the carefully crafted personas people present to the world. But you see past all of that. You don't just listen to what people say, you watch what they do. You pick up on the small details, the contradictions in their behavior, the subtle shifts in their tone. While others get blinded by charm, status, or sweet words, you're already 10 steps ahead, seeing people for who they truly are, not who they pretend to be. This ability makes you impossible to manipulate. People may try, spinning stories, exaggerating their worth, or playing emotional games, but none of it works on you. You sense insincerity like a shark smells blood. You can tell when someone is lying, when they're insecure, when they're hiding something. They may fool the masses, but they'll never fool you. This is why you don't trust easily, not because you're paranoid, but because you know that most people are performing. They wear masks to fit in, to gain approval, to hide their weaknesses. But no matter how well they act, their true nature always leaks through in the little things. How they treat people when no one is watching, how they react under pressure, how their eyes shift when they speak. Because you see people so clearly, you know exactly who to avoid and who is worth your time. You don't waste energy on fake friendships, dishonest business partners, or people who crave attention. You surround yourself with very few but very real individuals. Most people walk through life blind, believing what they want to believe about others. You don't deal in illusions, you see through the smoke and mirrors, and that's why you're always in control. Number 5, you're not afraid of the abyss, you embrace it. Most people run from the abyss. They fear loneliness, failure, and uncertainty because it makes them feel weak, lost, and insignificant. But you don't just face the darkness, you welcome it. You understand that true growth happens in isolation. While others surround themselves with noise and distractions to avoid their own thoughts, you embrace the silence. You sit with your fears, dissect your failures, and use the darkness as a forge to sharpen your mind. Pain doesn't break you, it refines you. You don't crumble under pressure like most people do. Instead, you absorb the struggle, learn from it, and come out stronger. Where others see suffering, you see transformation. Where they see an ending, you see a beginning. That's what separates you. Most people fear the unknown, but you thrive in it. Uncertainty doesn't paralyze you, it excites you. You don't need guarantees, comfort, or a clear path. You navigate the unknown like a hunter in the night, moving with calculated precision while everyone else stumbles in fear. This is why nothing and no one can truly control you. You've been through the abyss. You've faced failure, solitude, and doubt, and yet you're still standing. That kind of resilience makes you unstoppable, because once you realize that the darkness isn't your enemy, but your greatest teacher, there is nothing left to fear. Number 6, you don't just work hard, you work smart like a chess grandmaster. Most people think hard work alone guarantees success. They grind endlessly, burning themselves out, mistaking effort for progress. But you know better. You don't just work hard. You work with precision, like a chess grandmaster. Every move you make is calculated, every action serves a purpose, and every ounce of energy is spent wisely. While others take the longest, most exhausting route to their goals, you find the smartest, most effective way to get there. You don't waste time on meaningless hustle. You study the game before making a move. You analyze patterns, predict outcomes, and strike at the perfect moment. Efficiency is your weapon and patience is your advantage. This is why you seem to achieve more while doing less. People wonder how you stay so composed, how you get results without looking stressed or overwhelmed. The truth? You don't chase movement, you chase impact. You know that working smart beats working hard every time. That's why you don't brag about grinding 24/7. You let others exhaust themselves while you move with strategy, clarity, and precision. In the end, it's not about who works the hardest, it's about who plays the game best. Number 7, you have zero interest in impressing anyone, but somehow you always do. Most people exhaust themselves trying to impress others. They chase approval, shape their personalities to fit in and do whatever it takes to be liked. But you couldn't care less. You don't dress, talk, or act a certain way for validation. You move through life on your own terms, never adjusting yourself to meet anyone's expectations. And ironically, that's exactly what makes you magnetic. While others desperately try to be noticed, you become impossible to ignore because authenticity is rare and people crave what they can't control. Your confidence doesn't come from external approval. It's not about arrogance or proving a point. It's about knowing who you are, what you stand for, and never bending for the sake of acceptance. This makes you unpredictable, which only adds to your mystique. People want to understand you, figure you out, get your attention, but they never quite can. That's the paradox. You don't try to impress anyone, yet you always do. While others follow trends, you create your own path. While they seek attention, you remain unfazed. And in a world full of people desperate to be liked, you stand apart because you simply don't care. Number 8. You don't just attract women, you make them question everything they thought they knew. Most men spend their lives chasing women, trying to impress, trying to prove, trying to win their attention. But you do none of that. And that's exactly why you stand out. You don't follow the typical script. You don't seek validation. You don't fawn over women. And you definitely don't try to fit into the mold of what society says makes a man attractive. Instead, you operate on your own frequency, detached, focused, and entirely indifferent to the games most people play. That's what makes you an enigma. Women are used to men who are predictable, men who over-pursue, who try too hard, who make their interest obvious from the start. But you're different. You don't put them on a pedestal and you don't seek their approval. Instead of being another man eager to please, you become the one who's hard to define, the one they can't quite figure out. And nothing is more intriguing than mystery. Your silence, your confidence, your ability to walk away without hesitation, it all disrupts what they expect. It forces them to question everything they thought they knew about attraction. Why aren't you chasing? Why don't you react the way others do? Why is it that even in a room full of louder, flashier men, you're the one who commands attention without trying? It's because you don't need it. While most men act from scarcity, fearing rejection, fearing loss, fearing they're not enough, you move with abundance. You understand that attraction isn't about proving yourself to women. It's about being so complete within yourself that they feel drawn to your energy, even when you're not looking their way. And when they do get your attention, it's never guaranteed. You're selective. You don't entertain just anyone. They have to earn their place in your world. That's what makes you unforgettable. Women may not understand why they feel this way, but they do. They question their own reactions, their own emotions. They find themselves thinking about you even when you haven't spoken. And that's the difference. You don't just attract them, you disrupt their expectations, making them wonder why they can't stop thinking about you. Number 9. You can be ruthless, but only when necessary. Most people confuse kindness with weakness. They think being calm, reserved, or patient means they can take advantage of you. But they quickly learn that you are not the kind of man to be tested. You are not aggressive by nature. Nor do you seek conflict. You don't go around trying to prove yourself or asserting dominance unnecessarily. You're composed, measured, and controlled. But if someone crosses a line, if they mistake your patience for passivity, you don't give warnings. You take action. Your kindness has limits, and that's exactly why people respect you. They know you're fair, but they also know you won't tolerate disrespect. You don't engage in petty arguments or emotional outbursts like most people do. You don't throw threats around or bark empty words. Instead, you observe, you calculate, and when the moment demands it, you strike with precision. This isn't about being cruel or heartless, it's about survival. The world is full of people who take advantage of those who are too forgiving, too trusting, too unwilling to enforce boundaries. But you don't give second chances to those who show you they don't deserve them. You cut people off without hesitation. You end situations decisively. When you act, it's swift, clear, and without emotion. This controlled ruthlessness is what makes you different. Unlike those who react impulsively out of insecurity or unchecked anger, you only unleash this side of yourself when it's truly necessary. And that's what makes it so powerful. Because when a man who is usually calm and reserved finally makes a move, people take it seriously. You've mastered the balance of patience and power. People don't fear you because you're reckless. They respect you because they know you could be dangerous if you ever chose to be. But because you don't act out of ego, but out of principle, your presence alone commands respect. So when someone asks, "Why is he so quiet?" the answer is simple: because he doesn't need to speak. And if the time ever comes when you do, they'll wish they had never given you a reason to. Number 10, you do not fear losing because you know how to rebuild from nothing. Most people live in fear of loss. They cling desperately to their jobs, relationships, possessions, and social status, terrified that if they lose it all, they'll never recover. But you don't share that fear because you've already been through the worst. You've faced rock bottom, stared into the abyss, and walked through the fire. And yet, here you are. You've lost before: money, opportunities, people, maybe even your sense of direction. But instead of breaking you, those losses sharpened you. They forced you to adapt, to rebuild, to become stronger than you ever were before. And once you've rebuilt yourself from nothing, you stop fearing the idea of losing anything. This is what makes you different. Most people operate from a place of scarcity. They hold on too tightly because they don't believe they can recover. You, on the other hand, move with a quiet confidence. You don't cling to things desperately because you know that everything can be replaced, except your mindset, your resilience, and your ability to start again. This fearlessness gives you an edge. It allows you to take risks, to make bold moves, to walk away from situations that no longer serve you. While others stay trapped in miserable jobs, toxic relationships, or stagnant environments because they fear change, you have no such hesitation. If something isn't working, you leave. If you lose everything, you rebuild. People don't understand how you remain so calm in the face of adversity, how you can start over without hesitation. They think you're reckless, maybe even too detached. But what they fail to see is that once you've survived losing it all, nothing can truly shake you again. This is why you're dangerous, not in an aggressive way, but in a way that makes you untouchable. No one can manipulate you with fear. No threat of loss can control you, and that makes you one of the rarest kinds of people, the kind who can't be broken because you already know how to build yourself back up. Number 11, you never follow trends. You either ignore them or set them. Most people are addicted to trends. They chase what's popular, desperate to fit in, afraid to be left behind. But you don't follow trends. You either ignore them completely or set them without even trying. You don't seek validation through what's mainstream. You don't change your style, mindset, or values just because the world decides something is in. While others are busy copying, you're too focused on your own path to care. You create your own standards, your own way of doing things, and ironically, that's what makes people pay attention. What separates you from the crowd is that you're ahead of the curve. You don't wait for someone else to tell you what's relevant. You sense it before it happens. And when you do something, others eventually follow. Not because you ask them to, but because true originality always stands out. This is why you remain untouched by peer pressure. You don't feel the need to prove anything to anyone. You move at your own pace in your own way while everyone else scrambles to keep up with whatever's trending today. And when the trend fades, you're still standing. People may not always understand you at first, but deep down they recognize something different about you. You don't chase influence, you become the influence. Most people spend their lives seeking approval, avoiding discomfort, and clinging to what they have out of fear. But you're built differently. You move with precision, embracing silence, strategy, and self-reliance. You see through deception, refuse to chase validation, and command respect without ever demanding it. You don't fear loss because you know how to rebuild. You don't waste words because you understand their power. You don't seek attention, yet people are drawn to you. You operate on a different level, one that few truly understand but many feel. This is what makes you a Sigma male. You're not defined by the expectations of others, nor do you bend to their rules. You walk your own path, move at your own pace, and when necessary, you strike with calculated precision. The world may not always recognize you immediately, but the ones who matter, they always feel your presence. If this resonated with you, if you see yourself in these traits and operate on a different level than most, then this is just the beginning. Join the movement. Hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a drop of high-value content. Like this video if it spoke to you and drop a comment below. Let me know which of these traits you see in yourself. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it. Because the ones who truly move in silence, they recognize each other.